Hi, and welcome to CMAE Webinar Series Powerplay Coffeeshop. We're glad to be back, and this time we have a visit from Dubai and United Arab Emirates in the Middle East from Mr. Chris May CCM. We're going to have a chat about the situation right now in Dubai and the surrounding areas. We're also going to catch up with him to hear about his thoughts on MDP and his background. We also have some revealing news coming later on. But first, let me introduce Chris May CCM, the CEO of Dubai Golf. Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
Great, thanks, Toby. Great to be with you. Nice to see you in this current situation that we're all experiencing. But yeah, everything's good in Dubai, and yeah, it's just we're all getting used to our new normal lives at this moment in time. So yeah, interesting times.
Interesting times indeed. I thought we'd have this coffee shop chat divided into two parts. So we start with like life before COVID-19, even though it feels like a very long time ago. I mean, we were due to see each other very soon on MDP, but that won't happen this time. So if we're looking at this Chris May character, how did you actually end up in the club industry to start up with?
Good question, Toby. I mean, a long time ago, because I'm quite old, but look, I was always into sports as a kid, mainly football and squash and golf as well, encouraged by both my mum and my dad. And I decided to, after finishing school, I wanted to do a sports science degree, which I did at Nottingham University, and then did a master's degree at Loughborough in recreation management. And then got my first job in the Marriott hotel chain at a golf and country club just outside London. And I was golf and country club manager there and learned a bit of the hotel trade at the same time as golf. And it was a really good learning point for me. So that's kind of where I got into the industry. I also met my wife in my first job there, so my girlfriend obviously at the time, and after 3.5 years of working, we decided to give up work and go traveling. So we went traveling around the world for a year, which is still probably one of the best things that we've ever done. It was great, and I really enjoyed seeing different cultures, different parts of the world. We kind of worked our way around the world from Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, down to Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, America, and then back to the UK, where I'd been very lucky at university to get a job at the Wimbledon Tennis Championships for the previous 3 years. So I went back and worked at Wimbledon again, which was great, and then got another job for myself at the London Golf Club, which had just opened again outside London. Very prestigious 36-hole Jack Nicklaus course, and that was really much more core golf, which was really interesting job, and met lots of very, very interesting people. One of the people I met was Nigel Mansell, the Formula One racing driver.
Right.
And he was an honorary member of ours, and he basically said to me one Christmas that he would like to see me at his club, and I went down and saw him just before Christmas at his club, and he said, I'd like to offer both you and your girlfriend a job at my club in Devon. So I went and worked, or both of us went and worked for Nigel for 2 years, his club, which was really nice club in the southwest of England. And but pretty much as soon as we got there, we realized, actually, this was a bit out of the fast lane of being in and around London, and actually we might like to go and work overseas. So we started looking, and this place called Dubai came up with a couple of opportunities. A few recruitment consultants approached me and said, there's this job, we think you should go for it. So I applied and spoke to a few people that had been to Dubai, and they said, well, yeah, it's a growing place, somewhere where it would be good for you to go. So I applied, and I was the lucky one out of, I think, about 400 applicants to get the job at Dubai Creek Golf and Yacht Club, which you've been to.
Of course.
And that was in 1999. I started as assistant manager, and within 3 months, the GM moved on to another job. And so I was in the kind of the right place at the right time and became the club manager. Worked with an amazing team of people there. It was a very special time. We did some super special things, not just in golf, but the food and beverage operation was huge. We did big concerts. We did a concert for Elton John for 15,000 people, which at the time was the biggest concert that had ever been in the country. We did another one at one of the other clubs that I managed, Nadal Shiba, which was the night golf club, which was for Robbie Williams, and that was 25,000 people. And at golf clubs that I'd worked at before, those sort of things didn't happen. So those opportunities
At most golf clubs, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's true. But those sort of things really, I was really interested in stretching myself, doing new things, having new opportunities. So Dubai was a good place to do that and go get those learning opportunities. And then I got the opportunity to head up to Emirates Golf Club as general manager in 2008. And obviously that's probably the most prestigious club in Dubai, with the Desert Classic being held there every year. Which was another great experience, and really enjoyable. And then ultimately became responsible for all three clubs. And then we managed the club in Oman for 5 years, and now we have Jumeirah Golf Estates. And so, you know, the job evolves and changes. We've got Top Golf coming. So I can honestly say that no single day in Dubai or in this industry has ever been the same, which I love about this industry. I think it's fantastic. But you know, Toby, one of the really important things that I kind of, when I came to Dubai, it was great and I had all these wonderful experiences, but I did feel as though I was going backwards a little bit in my education, because in the UK, I had the opportunity to go to various exhibitions or talks or professional development opportunities. In Dubai, I had amazing work opportunities where I was learning and growing, but nothing really educational. And it wasn't really until a colleague recommended at the time CMAE, and I went to World Conference. And I was like, wow, this is great. And then at that time, CMAE started, and obviously this amazing educational program was given, or we were given the opportunity to benefit from the educational program. And that really, I thought, was a great opportunity, because it enabled me to continue in my job and learn and still kind of be connected to the industry in Europe and in the States. And as you're well aware, the education through that is amazing. And I think, you know, it's developed a lot. And so, you know, we very much were supportive of colleagues taking part in the CMAE program. And then more recently being proactive and actually hosting some of those MDP1, MDP2, MDP3 courses. Sadly, obviously we're not doing this year, but I promise you we'll be back next year, bigger and better.
Yeah, glad to hear.
And I think it's an amazing opportunity. It's great for me to give other people that opportunity that perhaps I didn't have early in my career in Dubai, for sure. And perhaps also earlier in my career back in the UK, because those opportunities weren't there. So it's great to have seen how much CMAE has developed and grown, which is, you know, credit to everyone involved.
Well, it's great to have ambassadors like yourself to sort of push us and really progressing and making it better year by year. So as you say, I'm also sorry that it's not going to happen in May this year, but we'll be back and we'll make sure it's going to happen. So 21 years then in Dubai, and you're now CEO of Dubai Golf. You mentioned Jumeirah and other Top Golf. What other things were you about to accomplish before the COVID-19, and you're now faced with a different reality? But I know that Top Golf was supposed to open already, wasn't it?
Yeah, Top Golf was due to open originally in May, we made a few changes to the orientation of the building, flipped it round so that now you're actually going to be hitting balls at the skyline of Dubai, which is going to be an amazing opportunity and quite an Instagrammable photo opportunity for people as they come in. So those slight delays in the building have resulted in the building now probably being finished and ready to be opened in September, October of this year, which actually, with everything that's happened, has kind of worked out okay. So we're now looking at various opportunities of how we open with some sort of grand opening, and so construction is still ongoing. Some of the supply chain has been delayed here and there, but in general, we're going to probably open in October, which is fine. And it's the first Top Golf in the Middle East and North Africa, or in Africa. There's one in Australia, 3 in the UK, and I think 50 in the United States, but they're all actually closed at the moment with the COVID-19 virus around. So we'll see. I think some will start to partially open in the not too distant future, but that's really exciting for us, and hopefully it's going to help us further grow the game of golf in the region. And help all the golf clubs here. So we're all excited about that, which is good.
So looking at clubs, not only golf, and the Middle East, and of course United Arab Emirates specifically, how do the locals feel about belonging to a club and to play golf? Because we've seen the tourism has been great, and bringing a lot of golfers from all over the globe. But how is membership doing? Not only perhaps for Dubai Golf, but for the whole of Golf of Dubai before COVID-19, let's say then.
Yeah, I mean, the clubs that we operate are very member-focused clubs and always have been, which at this moment in time is super important, because having that strong membership base, looking after members is really, really important. And we're starting, to see how important that is to us as we, throughout the COVID-19, we've continued to engage with our members to keep them involved in the clubs. So membership's always been important to us. Obviously, the overseas golf tourism in Dubai is really important to us as well. But that is definitely going to be impacted, as well as global travel everywhere is going to be impacted over the next months and perhaps even years ahead. So our business mix is very much locally focused, whether it be local membership or corporate events locally, with the sort of icing on the top, as you can put it, the overseas golf tourists who visit Dubai from all over the world. So, the golf tournaments that we host here, we host really to primarily promote Dubai on the international stage, and attract tourists to come and play and follow in the footsteps of the various champions, whether it's Rory McIlroy or John Rahm or Tommy Fleetwood or Tiger Woods or whatever. So there's a reason for hosting those tournaments, and that's really tourism focused. But the real core of our business is local, which is really important for us, especially at this moment in time.
Yeah, of course. So, my sort of last question for you, looking at Dubai, perhaps compared to England, your background. One of our programs focuses a lot on leadership, the MDP3. So we also look at different countries' sort of leadership. What's your feeling about leadership in Dubai compared to, well, at least from your background, compared to England or Europe? Yeah. Does it demand more authority, or because in Sweden we're so democratic, it's almost ridiculous sometimes. You need to have the approval of everyone before you do things. I'm guessing that's not really the case for you.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. That's a really, really good question, because I think the country where I work, the leadership of the country is, it could be very autocratic, but actually they're very it's a ruling family, so they can do what they want, but they don't do what they want, and they very much look after the people, whether you are a UAE national or whether you're an expatriate. And they take into account how different segments of the population are going to be impacted by various decisions they make, which I think is very forward thinking. And I think they show, in times such as the ones we're going through, because they can make decisions that are right for the long-term benefit of the country. I think they make a lot of right decisions. So that's right at the very top of leadership in the country where I'm working at the moment. I think, you get a sort of unique view on how other countries are run when you live somewhere else. And I think, you know, some of the countries, whether it's some of the European countries, I wouldn't say all, but some of them, and, you know, you look further afield, whether it be America or whatever, have you, you know, the decisions are made very short term because you've got a 4-year window and those, you've got to make popular decisions at the end, otherwise you're not going to get revoted, and you can only really make change that might be right for the long term in a very short period of window, in a very short window. So I actually, the longer I'm in Dubai, I kind of think the way that the leadership is run here is a really good model, but it all depends on who the leader is.
Yeah.
So that's right at the top. In terms of actually working in a club and managing, I don't see it as being wildly different because I think, yes, that we have got a wider mix of people from all over the world working for us, but essentially it's all about really creating a team and encouraging everyone in the team to do as much as they can to make a difference, because there is no doubt that bringing everyone together as a team is so much more powerful than everyone doing their own thing. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned and seen when everyone comes together as a team. And, you know, we've done some amazing events. You know, I spoke earlier about some of these big concerts, the golf tournaments. Those events would not happen unless you got everyone together and really got everyone working as a team, heading in the right direction, in the same direction. And everyone gets a huge amount of pride and you know, passion from doing those events well, and putting the club, you know, in the window of the global golf market or entertainment market, whatever it is. And, you know, it becomes a really collective team effort, which I think is really good. Yes, you don't, you know, decisions I think can be made quicker sometimes in the environment where I work. You know, I report to a board. We have to, you know, put a good case together in terms of business. If we want to do something, it has to make financial sense. It has to make sense to the various stakeholders we have. So that's not wildly different from any club or most clubs, wherever they are, whether they're in the States or Europe. You might have different stakeholders, but I think being able to communicate is really important on different levels, whether it's to a board, to fellow colleagues, to junior management, senior management. That's a super key skill, and really creating that team is so important, and communication is important in that as well. So I think there might be subtle differences, but I think wherever you are, being a leader has some common traits, wherever that may be, and whatever job you're in as well. There are transferable skills within that leadership role, whatever it is, whether it's leading a country, whether it's leading CMAE like you do, or whether it's leading a couple of clubs, you know, like I do, or even a football club manager. They're all, you know, take some of those core skills are very similar.
So true, so true. And how many managers do you have underneath yourself that sort of report directly to you?
So directly to me, we've got 10 across the 3 clubs, and then each club will have a management team with junior managers as well. So roughly 10, and right now, obviously, we're managing through Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever we're using. And, you know, it's going to change the way that we work for sure. You know, it's been interesting to see the dynamics of how that works, and you kind of wonder, why didn't we do that before?
Exactly. No, I have the same. Being a traveling man, so I see it. I see a lot of advantages and a lot of possibilities with this new reality that we're facing. Even though, of course, it's tough to beat the physical meeting and to see eye to eye. And excellent. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Chris. So moving on, I actually had a very nice photo from one of our MDPs when we were visiting Dubai Creek, the lovely clubhouse in the background, that unfortunately then won't take place this year because of the lockdown and the COVID-19. But Chris, you have some great news for the rest of the tribe. What's happening right now with golf in Dubai?
Yeah, we have some really exciting news. I mean, when we were speaking about perhaps doing this, Toby, we were going to be, talking about obviously what we're doing with CMAE and what we've done. But we're delighted to report that the golf clubs in Dubai opened 3 days ago. So we're just into our third day of operation. Very different operation than when we closed down back on the 23rd of March. We were closed, I think, for a total of about 35 days. We started to be impacted right at the beginning of March. Even though we were still open, we started to see a number of big corporate events. The biggest corporate event that we host in the whole year was cancelled in the month of March, losing us, 200,000 euros of business. Then restaurants started dropping off and golf started dropping off. We were finally closed on the 23rd, but great to be back open again. As I say, we're very fortunate as a sport in that, golf has some social distancing in the sport anyway. And we're very lucky to be the first sport in the UAE to be open. I think we're going to be followed soon by the likes of cycling and perhaps tennis as well. So we're being seen very much as the guinea pig, and we're being looked at in everything we do. So we need to be very careful to adhere to the policies that you just saw on the screen, which, with the benefit of the guidance of the Emirates Golf Federation and the General Authority of Sport and Youth, we were able to operate in a reduced capacity, so 3 balls only, no sharing of golf carts, social distancing, no range, limits on our restaurants in the clubhouse, no competitions, no events, no gatherings of people. The number of staff that we can have at any one time is no more than 30%, which presents some operational difficulties and a little bit of planning. Everyone must be a member or a member of the Golf Federation. And so, these rules and guidelines are really helping us to limit the play and operate golf in a really safe way. So, I think the 5 golf courses that we're responsible for saw around about 100 people play on the very first day across each golf course. So 500 players. This weekend, we're already full to our new capacity, which is great. So it shows that demand is still there, and we're very lucky in Dubai to have a very strong local demand. And people are really looking forward to getting out of their houses. We actually had a period of 2 weeks where we had a 24-hour lockdown in Dubai, where you could not leave your house unless it was to go to the doctors or to the supermarket, and even then you had to get a special permit, which worked very well. And people really, had to be at home. So I think that really helped with the spread of COVID-19 in the city. So, but we have to be aware that just because we're allowed to operate our golf clubs in a slightly different way from the way we would operate them normally, we still need to be aware that the virus is pretty aggressive, and as many countries in Europe are still experiencing, it's going to be a long time before we're back to any normality. So we do need to take great care that we're looking after all of our colleagues, and we're looking after our members and operating in a safer manner as we can. So it's been great. The first 2-3 days, the feedback from our membership has been really positive. Feedback from all of our colleagues being back at work, with the exception of our golf course maintenance teams, who are working on a really skeleton team to maintain the courses. It's been really positive. So we're hoping that we can open up a little bit more in the coming weeks. And
so do you see this? I mean, these were, as you say, a lot of implications, a lot of changes that needed to be done in order to open. But do you see them as like positive guidelines, or as you see them as tough demands in order to get things done?
I think, I mean, some of the demands are tough. I mean, 30% staffing capacity is a challenging one to operate. You know, we've had to make some changes to our normal operations, and you know, we're not operating bag drop, we're not operating our ranges, we're not operating our par 3, we're not operating night golf yet. But we hope that by showing that we're operating in a safe manner, slowly that those restrictions will be eased. And in general, I think the new way and the rules in which we're operating under are there for a reason. They're there to try and provide as safe an environment as possible for golfers to enjoy. And if we can do our jobs properly, then, you know, hopefully some other clubs around the world can follow, and other sports and other entities in Dubai can follow as well. We've had the slight benefit of following our colleagues in Abu Dhabi, who actually were able to open almost 2 weeks before us. So a lot of the learnings that they had, we've been able to implement and incorporate in our operations here.
Well, you actually you brought some photos
We did, yep.
from now, so I'm happy to
yeah, these are some of the new things we're implementing. So whenever you come to the club now, you're having your temperature checked. We actually invested in thermal imaging cameras, which are pretty expensive. So they're not going to be something that every club is going to be able to buy, but we made the decision to locate these at the entrance of the club. Everyone is coming in a very orderly fashion and having their temperature measured very accurately. Sometimes people's temperature is coming in a little bit warm because we're over 40 degrees centigrade outside at the moment. So if that is the case, then we're just asking people to wait for 2 minutes until their body temperature drops, and then we can measure again. And in every case so far, it's in the normal range. But you know, I think that gives an added sense of security and comfort to members. And you know, when we hope to be able to open up to guests using our restaurants, they will see us as a safe option in terms of a place to go out to eat, or a place to go out to golf, etc. So we felt it was the right thing to do. All of our colleagues are wearing face masks and gloves. You can see one of our guys in a backdrop there with the mask and gloves. All our colleagues are being looked after well. You know, their temperatures are checked every day. On the bus transportation that we're bringing people into work, the spacing is much less, so the social distancing is being controlled. And then in the clubhouse, we've got reduced capacities in all of our restaurants, and you know, various signs around about the social distancing, hand sanitizers, etc. And yeah, and you know, the awareness of the general public in Dubai is very, very good. The government's done a pretty good job in promoting what people should be doing, and in general, in this part of the world, perhaps more so than many parts, people follow what the government says, which makes it a little bit easier for us, I guess. But or most people follow what the government say. Those people that choose not to are dealt with in different ways. But I think it's pretty, most people are pretty sensible and do what the government tell them to do, because it's in their interest. And certainly for us to be open, we're very fortunate and thankful to the authorities for giving us the opportunity, but we're very keen to help others to learn from what we're learning. And you know,
you're the only sport actually who's opened.
Yeah, we're the first sport that's open in Dubai, which is great. We're very lucky. You know, there's the schools are closed. The schools have been closed since the beginning of March, and they're going to be closed right the way through to the end of the summer term. So shopping malls are just starting to open up, but under very restricted conditions. So there's you know, Dubai started to reopen, but it's under a very, very controlled way, and it's going to be taking time to do that, to ensure that we're doing the right thing. And you know, hopefully we can continue on that path over the next week few weeks and months ahead. But you know, I think this new normal is going to be something that's going to be with us for a long time. So we all need to be a little bit creative in looking at our businesses. And just because we've done things successfully this way in the past, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be successful in the future. So I think everything we do, we're really looking at, you know, is that the right thing to do moving forward? Because things are changing really quickly. Circumstances are changing really quickly. And I think that's the one thing that all of us have, you know, whichever country you're in, these things, you know, have come at rapid pace to us. And, you know, I don't think any of us would have foreseen this level of global impact, you know, when we were, you know, discussing the MDP program, you know, as not as long ago as January, and even February.
Feels like a different life.
Yeah, it is. And I think, you know, so as we briefly touched on, you know, there have been some positives, you know, come out of the experiences in the fact that, you know, we're communicating with each other in a different way. I think, you know, I even look at some of the things that I did before, driving around from club to club. You know, actually you don't need to do that. Yes, I do need to do that occasionally, and face-to-face contact is really needed in our industry. But you know, the video conferencing facilities that are available now are fantastic. And when you look at the amount of time that can be wasted by getting lots of people to go to a meeting and then someone's late and then going back, it's crazy. So I think a lot of the things that we've implemented during this period, and maybe even in schools as well, will be new norms for us, and will change the way that we do things going forward. So interesting times ahead as well.
Interesting times it is. So during these weeks in lockdown, have you had to have you been forced to do anything for the club? Have you put people in furlough? Have you had to let people go because of the loss of revenue, or what have been the implications?
Yeah, I mean, the implication is pretty big. Obviously, we've had zero revenue coming in. We don't have the benefit of the furlough schemes that you see in some countries. So we made the collective decision to look after everyone in our teams and take a collective hit. So we reduced our senior team and middle managers with a 50% salary deduction, and junior colleagues with a 30% salary deduction. We made a commitment to our members that we would credit their period of unused membership to them on their account when we reopened, which we've done. And we've had amazing response actually on that, because
You should have. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, generally everyone was happy. Obviously, you're not going to please everyone. We had a few people that weren't happy, but the one thing that really came from it that I was really impressed with is that I would say probably 10 to 15% of the members that we have across the 3 clubs came back and said, you know, we don't want our credit back for the period of closure. We'd like to give it to junior colleagues who've been impacted by this, which obviously we will now do. And I just thought from a member perspective, that was, you know, a really nice thing to do, because it shows, you know, what the club means to them and how important, in particular, those junior colleagues are to them in giving them the service every day that they enjoy and creating, you know, this sort of second home that they have at our clubs, which is great. So we, now that we're reopened, we're looking to kind of return to some sort of new normality, but there's certain parts of the business that are not open. Our gyms are not open. Our spas are not open. Our pools are not open. Our restaurants are not open to full capacity. So, you know, we're still a long way from being normal, and you know, those salary deductions might have to stay in place for some time. But what that's enabled us to do is, and especially now that we're open, at least we're not having to refund memberships, and we're now finding that we're actually, I think we've sold 10 new memberships in the last 3 days, which surprised me. And we're a lot more membership inquiries. But we felt it was important to look after everyone. And if we're able to do that, keep everyone together as a team, I think our business model, we're in a fortunate position that we're able to operate to a certain level. And if we can manage to keep that going, hopefully we will be in a position where we won't lose anyone, which is our objective. Hopefully we're able to achieve that, but it's very difficult to say because it might be, it's going to be a long time till we're back to normal in terms of operation. And whether you're a member only exclusive club or you're really exposed to tourism, it's going to be difficult to get back to normal. And you really need, that's why it's so important to look at how you operate your business and how you might need to change and adapt to the new normal.
Of course. So, I mean, you only have, as you say, 3 days of experience of coming from lockdown and into the new norm, which, as you say, is 30% of staffing, etc. Would you have any recommendations for your fellow colleagues around Europe? Because I know that both in Italy and in other countries, they're talking about coming out of lockdown, but with restrictions. What kind of restrictions? We don't know yet. Again, in Sweden, we're open, but we're trying to make things differently here. But would you have any recommendations? Have you already learned some things from it?
Yeah, I think we did something. I mean, I think really important is to keep communicating with members, really important, and with colleagues. But so both sets. We did an online quiz every week, and a couple of our golf pros did it on the YouTube channel. And I think we had 70 the first week, 100 the second week, and 120 the third week. But it was just provided something with a bit of family entertainment that people could get together because everyone was at home. Nothing to do apart from exercise at home or TV or eat or drink or whatever. So that was really good because it engaged people. We sent out constant communication. We did video golf lessons. We did health tips and clips with our with our guys in the gym. We communicated what we were doing on the golf course in their absence. So that was really important. And a lot of our members have come back saying, wow, thanks for what you've done during that period, just keeping us involved. And they really have missed the club, which is great. So that was really important to do that. I also realized very quickly that we should do that with colleagues as well. And so we arranged a series of seminars, which we didn't end up getting to finish, but we will, with various department heads. I was the first one, and we did something a little bit like we did today, right at the beginning, where Q&A, how I came to be in my job, what I did as a kid, the fact that I worked in McDonald's and worked and played football as a semi-professional and squash and what have you, and all these things that they didn't know I did. And they found it really interesting. There was a Q&A at the end. They could ask questions. We had about, I think, 180 people, colleagues, listen to my ramblings for an hour. And I enjoyed it. They loved it. They really enjoyed it. And especially in that period where, we're asking everyone to stay in their rooms, stay safe, stay at home, don't mix. It was just a real moment of connection. And we've done that with a couple of other departments, where we talk about what we do in that department. So it's a bit of an educational thing, but more important than everything was a connection. And, we're still here, to support you. I hope that we're opening, soon, and, just to try and keep people motivated. Because I think, it could be quite tough sometimes. Just, some people have, nice villas to be in. Some people have small apartments. Some people are 2 to a room. And, it's kind of difficult. People want to be at work. Then what I've seen the last couple of days, now we're open, everyone wants to come to work. Everyone wants to see people. Everyone actually the problem actually is, look, guys, just because we're allowed to come, we need to be safe. We need to, we need to keep everyone safe and secure. And so we don't want all of a sudden everyone gathering. And so managing people's excitement about being open again is something that, is something important to do, because the virus is still very much out there, and we need to control people's movements and make sure that we're as safe as possible. So those kind of things that we did, the communication to members and colleagues are really, really important, I felt, and really benefited, members who, got into routines. I think most people, certainly in Dubai, were exercising outside in their garden or outside on their balcony, or doing whatever they could as a family. And so there were lots of, people were able to spend a bit more time as a family, which was great. But the overriding factor is actually people did miss work. They did miss the social interaction that work provides. For our members, they definitely missed that social interaction with fellow members and colleagues and members of staff, and genuinely, missed their ability to go outside and exercise and play golf in a relatively safe environment.
Yeah.
So fortunately, they're able to do that now, and we've got lots of happy people, but we've still got a long way to go.
No, of course. We're still fortunate because, as you say, I mean, if we're talking about social distancing, golf is a good sport. It's just a matter of how you sort of look at the whole process from when someone arrives to when they leave, I guess. So a final question then to you, Chris. If you would have had knowledge about what was going to happen, and you would now be 2 weeks before you have to close, you would have to go into lockdown, what would you have done differently if you would have the chance to, or you've been forced to do this again?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that we would do differently. We decided, we had no clue that we were going to be opening on 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So we decided to do our summer maintenance on the Majlis golf course last week. So actually we opened it, it's not in great condition, but that's one thing we would have done differently. But actually it's a positive because we're now not going to close in June for a week. So, it is a bit of an uncertainty. When are you going to reopen? You don't really know. Right. I would have probably tried to do a lot more. We gave all of our colleagues the opportunity to have access to some educational tools through a number of different portals. I felt that was a really good thing to have done. I would have pushed that a little bit more. Some of the unknowns that we didn't know, a lot of our colleagues were stuck overseas and couldn't come back. A lot of people that were due to retire and finish with us now are stuck in Dubai and are not able to go back. Those would have been good. A lot of people, sadly, have lost family members around the world, whether it be through coronavirus or through natural causes, and they're stuck in Dubai. Nothing we can do about that, but those things are kind of tough. But I think we were very, very fortunate in the golf industry in Dubai, because in particular in Dubai Golf, we were exposed. We have 17 hotels in our portfolio, and prior to the golf courses being impacted, the hotels were really impacted because tourism started to drop incredibly. And so the hotels really started to see the impact of coronavirus before the golf clubs did, because they were exposed 100% to the overseas market. And so I had the benefit, and my colleagues, of attending a couple of really serious planning meetings for what was going to happen with coronavirus, because some of the hotels had seen their occupancy drop from 90%, which is the norm at most hotels in Dubai, to 50%, 40%, 30%. Then they were having to close down hotel wings, then, cope with the threat of COVID-19 in a hotel. And that planning process really helped us prepare what we were going to do, be ready for closure, how we were going to treat colleagues, what we were going to do in terms of payroll, cash flow, etc. All those things that are really important for us, because you can plan for it, but you don't know how long it's going to be for, and you need to be ensured that when you are able to open, that you can open and you're physically able to open. And many businesses that restaurants in particular have been very badly hit in this part of the world, and from what I see in Europe as well. And a lot of restaurants, I don't think, are going to come out of this because they didn't have, probably through no fault of their own, because the margins are pretty small, but didn't have the cash flows to enable them to get through this period. So they're just not going to be able to open. And obviously, we're slightly bigger than most clubs, but having those cash flows are really, really important, whatever size you are, because golf operations are pretty expensive to run,
Yeah.
and we need to very quickly to control the costs that we could control and reduce our operation to an absolute minimum. And that's what we did with a very core team of golf course maintenance guys. Everyone's used up all their annual leave already, or most of it. So pretty tough measures, because it's really an unprecedented occurrence that even for someone as old as I am has never seen in my life. And even my parents, you're going back to really probably the Second World War before anyone has experienced anything like we're all experiencing now. So none of us have any operational experience, and so it's all a big learning curve. And having the opportunity to perhaps pick up one or two things from what other people have experienced is invaluable. So if anyone wants to contact me directly, they know where to find me, and I'm happy to help. And hopefully this helps one or two people, and just to try and get back to some sort of normality, which we're all wanting to try and do at some point in the not too distant future.
So true. So too, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing your current status, and we're all wishing for a good turnout, and for, as you say, to temper people's happiness of coming back to work. I can really see, it's like when you release the cows in spring when they've been locked away for many months, and they're so happy just running around. But let's keep it in an orderly fashion. And well, again, thank you so much, Chris, for doing the Powerplay Coffee Shop. Anything that we missed out on? Is there anything else you just want to make a final comment about?
No, I mean, I think we've covered most everything. As I said, if anyone has got any questions that we haven't covered, please send me an email, drop me a WhatsApp. We look forward to welcoming everyone back to Dubai under better circumstances, with the MDP program in May of next year, May of next year. And look forward to seeing all of my colleagues in the industry in the not too distant future, when we're given the opportunity to travel once again. And in the meantime, stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Chris. So guys, that was the Powerplay Coffee Shop with Chris May CCM, the CEO of Dubai Golf, sharing their no longer lockdown status, but actually open, even though running with a 30% staff, and will be very interesting to follow. Thank you very much, Chris. If you have any feedback on the webinar, the video, this coffee shop, or any other Powerplay that we've done, please email us on office@cmaeurope.org. We'll be happy to take any www, what went well, or some EBIs, even better if. Happy to get some new suggestions. So if there's other people you want us to interview, or people to do a Powerplay 600, we'd be happy to get it sorted. So final words, as always, guys, stay healthy, stay safe. Talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.